Instrumentals.
I'm Jeff Longwell, lifelong Wichitan. Born and raised here. My wife's born and raised here. We have 3 children that are 33 and twin boys that are 29. Our daughter is the oldest. Married 34 years to Susie. I own a company called Ad Astra Print Resources. I've spent about 30 years in the graphics industry. I helped build a company from 5 employees to over 75 employees starting in the early 80s. I have run my own company for the last 7 years. I spent 12 years on the Mays School Board, actively engaged in growing that community, and have spent 8 years on the City Council. And so I have considerable experience, a track record, and been very involved in growing our community. It is just a great place to raise a family, and it's a good sized city with a small town feel. I've had the pleasure of traveling to almost every major city in the United States, and I still love calling Wichita home. There's some cities that I'm fond of. They have a variety of attractions, but none of them compare to Wichita. I want to continue to use my vision to make this city better and better so that we can continue to attract young talent, keep our talent here, provide something for our millennials to do, and be proud of Wichita so that everyone can say, this is my hometown and I love being here. You know, as I mentioned, I got involved with the Mays Board of Education, which takes in a big part of West Wichita, almost 20 years ago. I was general manager of a company. We were very successful, had a very civic-minded boss who mentioned to me one day, we need to do more to give back to the community. We need to do something to show our appreciation for this community that's been so generous to us. And he said, there's a position open on the local school board. You ought to look into that. And I did, and I was successful, and no real agenda. Appreciated an opportunity to help mold that district into something pretty special. And while I was out there, I got to know the Wichita City Council member that we shared territories with, and he said, when I retire, you ought to look at running for my position. It was Bob Martz, and I said, Bob, I'm not sure that that's something I'm excited about, but I'll think about it. And over a couple of years went by, and we continued that dialogue, and he convinced me to run for his position before he passed away, actually. Great gentleman. His wife Sandy's still around, and they were very instrumental with helping me get elected to the Wichita City Council the first time around, and I appreciated that. And I've really enjoyed making a difference for our community. We have been able to solve a lot of issues in the area that I represent. We've had flooding issues that we've tackled. We've had infrastructure issues with streets and other things that we have addressed and been able to make a difference. And it's very fulfilling to be able to make a difference in a community that I really love so much. We appreciate the opportunity to get our message out there. I would like to see us continue to look at some different ways to help our community be more successful. I don't believe now's the time that we need to continue to throw money at companies to lure them to Wichita. I think there's a better way to grow our economy. Certainly getting folks more engaged is going to be helpful. I think centering our resources around the Innovation Campus can make a difference in this community, and quality of life is going to be powerful. But we've got to come up with a game plan that gets everybody back to work. And I don't believe throwing cash is going to be that game plan. We've got to take a different approach to economic growth, and I'd like to be a part of taking that different approach and guiding this city into something special. I am the only council member that voted against that sales tax. I disagreed with the way that it was bundled. I disagreed with all of the components in it. I thought it was the wrong time. And throwing cash at companies is not the way to grow jobs in our community. I think there's a different approach that certainly would not be near as offensive and not take money out of the pockets of the people in this community to try and throw cash at companies. Supporting the Innovation Campus is a big part of that program. The blueprint for regional economic growth will make a difference that will be centered around 6 different clusters where we can grow jobs in this community without having to throw cash at companies. And it will create an environment that's much more diverse than just aviation, and it will help us bring more companies here to be a part of that cluster. And if we design our game plan and our resources around those clusters and around the Innovation Campus, we won't have to throw cash at companies. And so that's a much better plan, and I think that the community will appreciate that approach to economic development. Certainly we want to be a part of the team that looks at that hiring process and the applications for the next police chief. I am so fortunate to have Mike Hill be my campaign chairman that's helping guide our campaign. He has 40 years of law enforcement experience behind him and another 12 years in private practice, resolving issues with law enforcement in a variety of different areas. So we know that next police chief is going to be critical to the success of the entire community. We want to make sure that we have somebody that has strong skills in community policing, someone that has the ability to articulate with others and communicate with the entire community. And there's some programs that we think would be very beneficial that we would like to get into detail with that potential next police chief. But more importantly, that may be the most critical hire that this community is going to make in the next 10 years. And so we want to certainly be a part and provide direction from our perspective, from our experience, having someone like Mike Hill with 40 years of law enforcement experience and his network of friends is very beneficial, and we think we can make a difference in that capacity.